Okay, welcome. So today I'm having some sound issues. I was trying to figure out my sound machine, but it's not working out properly. But it doesn't matter because you're all here. Sir PT, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I was so much very looking forward to vibing on the techno music, but this was definitely something else.
Yeah, this is actually the when you mute yourself, Twitter plays some automatic music, whatever music they have. I guess it sounds like elevator music or something.
Yeah.
Not what I intended. I had some good beats, but somehow they're not playing. So here we are
Well,
listening to elevator music.
how how are your beatboxing skills? Perhaps we could.
Yeah, they're very bad. Let's not go there. Let's absolutely not go there. So I want to say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah, for
This
sure.
is our first meeting in the new year. 2024 is, projected to be fantastic. A lot of things on the horizon for Accept, but also for crypto markets in general.
Yeah.
I think the ETF is going to be approved very soon. There's a lot of bullish momentum being projected into the market, and so it's going to be a very very curious year, and I think a very very fantastic year for all of us. So it's great to be here.
I wholeheartedly agree. For sure.
Awesome. So I think we're in the right position with Accept, uh, just around the corner of actually releasing products into the public and entering and riding the wave of the coming bull market with a suite of bot tools that will be widely adopted and used by a lot of people. And I think, yes, we can talk about this today. Obviously, that's what we're doing. I was testing the past 2 weeks quite excessively the alpha version, and I'm very pleased with how smooth everything is. Just recently, I think yesterday or today, new updates were being put into the bot, so the updates are seamless. I don't have to do anything. The updates will just appear, and then all of a sudden I have new functions. I get to test them as well, and that's quite nice. Like some of the feedback that I had given and other people had given too about things should be a little faster as far as I don't want to be approving every sell transaction. I just want to press the button and it starts selling. So, there came now options to that. Options for auto approving for the MEV came. And such things. I mean, you're going to go into that. I don't want to give anything away. I'm just saying I'm very pleased with my alpha testing phase so far. So happy to hear what you've been working on this week and what you will be working on, in the coming in the week to come. So welcome, Sir PT. Very happy to have this conversation with you once again. Let's jump in.
Sure. Thank you very much. Yeah, we've been working on multiple things, and I think we've discussed this in several previous spaces as well. That our development team is working on different tracks in parallel, and that can either be UI based, but also different utilities that are being worked on. And the update that has been pushed today would be on the settings, like you just mentioned. And what we've updated is the priority settings, which are the you can choose to either send minor tips, priority tips like block builder bribes, and you can set gas settings for priority in Gwei. Aside from that, you can also now set your slippage settings. So that's very useful when trading, that you don't have the default slippage settings, and that's definitely useful if you trade like in a small liquidity pair and you trade a bit more bigger size. You need some uh, bigger or wider slippage settings to get your transaction through. Other things are the auto button, auto approve MEV, auto approve to sell, and auto revoke MEV after token is sold. These speak for themselves. These are toggle buttons that if you buy a token, you get the option to instantly automatically send the approval transaction to approve that particular token to the MEV bot, and as well as auto approve sell. And with other bots, you often see that we've talked about this last spaces, that that auto approval to sell the token later on goes in directly. But we've made the option in this example, you see that it's on, it sends the auto approve sell immediately, but you can also toggle that off, that when you want to sell the token at some point, you would have to do the approval by hand. And for some users, they really like that. It might be a little extra security, for example, that for the approval, and others want to be as fast as possible. Also, the last option here that's currently pushed, it's the auto revoke the MEV after the token is sold. If you've sold all your tokens on balance, you can opt into either leave the approval to the MEV bot, or if you want to revoke the approval to the MEV, but you can either do that manually or toggle here the auto revoke. So these are all customizable settings for whatever a user wants, and different people have different preferences in this regard.
Yeah, I saw that. That's so awesome. I mean, obviously, there's still, like, lots of usability features that can be added. Like, I love the feature where you can just drop the
Yeah.
contract, and then if you hold tokens in that wallet from that contract, it will prompt you to, do you want to sell your tokens? If you don't, then it will prompt you, hey, do you want to buy these tokens? Those sort of things will make it like super fast to use it, right? But I know that's already on your roadmap or on your to-do list, so I didn't bother really mentioning it.
Yeah, it's actually very high on our current priority list to do that, to implement it. To basically, if you forward, that's what I like to do when I use snipers. I forward oftentimes DexTools links, or anything else that contains the contract address or pair address, and forward that to the bot, and basically the bot parses that data to the contract. So that's definitely high on our priority list right now. But as I mentioned, we develop in multiple tracks, so we're all also developing sniper functionality, and the functions that have been rolled out already, for example, the auto approve MEV, but also the slippage settings and gas settings, etc. That helps with the sniper functionality, which is being tested right now. So there are multiple things in development for the last week, and we expect to be dropping quite a bit of updates and roll out upgrades for next week.
That's perfect. So I just want to go into this because you posted this on Twitter like a few days ago, and this was like a special transaction that you also pinned in the exception chat about that Soon token and about that Uno token, where two different users did two different MEV transactions on two different tokens, and they were all bundled in the same transaction. And I think that's amazing. That's absolutely remarkable. If you could go into that, that would be fantastic to just talk about it quickly. How that came about and how unique that actually is.
For sure. Just 1 second, I'll forward the images right here, and perhaps somebody can drop it into the Telegram group as well, or the Twitter link.
Do that right now. We'll do that right now.
So what's interesting about this particular transaction, we were quite excited about this because at this stage we're actually testing for that particular token that was approved by the user, And then we noticed that a different user also had the same balance. So we noticed there were two opportunities being spotted, and one user had more balance than the other. Now, what happened was that the first user did not have enough balance to extract all the value for that particular opportunity. So basically, it was not maximum extractable value. There was some value being left on the table. So, and this I discussed with the developer, and the developer, as we were talking about it, he said, okay, I have some ideas. Let's make some changes and upgrade it a little bit. And as we did so, another opportunity popped up a little bit later, and that was this transaction. What's nice about this is that you see both on the same token, soon token, it spotted an opportunity that required more tokens to extract the maximum value, more tokens than one user had on balance. So it took the balance of user one, but also took the balance of user two and combined that. In this example, you see 122 million soon tokens of user one and 78 million soon tokens of user two, and combined that into a sell transaction of 201 million soon tokens. So that's very interesting in itself, that it used the balances of two users on the same token and combine it in a single transaction. This could potentially change our entire ecosystem at some point, because at first we were only considering the user with either the highest balance, and after that we had a priority sequence: highest balance, and then most accept tokens held, etc. But this opens up a range of opportunities to play around with that and extract the most value. Now imagine if you have a token that requires a lot of liquidity to extract the maximum value. Now, if you let's say the liquidity pool of token XYZ is, for instance, $1 million, and you need for a particular opportunity a balance that's worth 10K or 15K or whatever. Now, in that case, you can combine balances of multiple users and extract that value. So it opens up a lot of opportunities as well. So that's the first interesting part. The second interesting part on this is the bottom section of this transaction, which is the on the UNO token, is that we not only did the sell side from the user balances, but we've combined it in a single transaction with an opportunity on the buy side with the MEV contract. So basically, we're combining the sell side from the users with the buy side in one single transaction, and that's very good as well. So we were very excited about this transaction, and really want to build up on this one.
That's amazing. I mean, I wasn't even aware that that was even possible. That was actually technically possible. That's really, really fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. We're collecting some interesting transactions as well. Some multiple transactions, multiple opportunities in one transaction. We are collecting to make a post on, but also some noticeable transactions are from some decent size, even on ETH USDT pair, ETH DAI pair. We had an opportunity on ETH BNB pair, so that's pretty cool, and that we target noticeable pairs as well.
Yeah, that is very, 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 very good. You also told me about some like very high liquid transactions that you did on like DAI tokens and so, right?
Yeah, I think it was about I think the liquidity that we used was about 28,000 dollars worth of ETH on ETH USDT and even ETH DAI as well. It was around between 25 and 30k value that we did a transaction.
And how much was actually extracted from that transaction, if I may ask?
To be honest, I didn't check for that transaction. I just noticed the liquidity value. I have to check on that side. I'm not sure.
Okay, no worries. But I mean, that's quite amazing because, doing these kind of MEV transactions is very, very low risk because you're not exposing yourself to any kind of shitcoins, and you still get the benefit of using MEVs on some of these very high liquid tokens, which is, I think some people, they don't look for the risk of holding some shitcoins.
Exactly, that's a fair point for the user part. If the user holds these tokens, or more, I'm not sure if more reputable is the correct phrase, but they probably are. They're more reputable tokens and less risk, like you mentioned. If they hold those and approve the MEV bot, they could target some opportunities there. There might be less opportunities because the liquidity is quite high, and somebody would need to trade a decent size over there. But I'm sure there will be opportunities spotted for users there.
Very good, very, very good. Okay, so we got that covered. I think that was nice to speak about it because you did quite a extensive post on it, and it's always nice to hear it again with your own words next to the writing, so it sticks better. Like when I saw it, I was like, oh wow, what's happening? But now that you explain it, I get it. I totally get it, and I also get the advantage of it. So that's really amazing. And I'm not aware that this is being done by any other entity in the space so far. So that's a major advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
So okay, so we spoke about what happened this week. We spoke about like some of the transactions that went through. What is on the roadmap or on the to-do list for next week?
So again, that applies to a multi-track development, both as in technical development, but also in the business development part. We're quite busy. For next week, you can expect the updates on the alpha version for the trader. So we'll be looking to implement changes on, like you mentioned, hopefully PNL, refreshing by price, perhaps sell percentages of your wallet. What else was there? Parsing the contract data. Those types of things will be on the list to get as much as possible done on the alpha trader for that. Now we do have potentially for next week. There will be some announcements that will be landing next week. So we have quite a bit up in the air that we are finalizing right now, either over the weekend or early next week. So we'll most definitely for the next call have some very good announcements, and we expect to. I can mention this for next week. We expect to roll out the sniper version for the alpha testing.
Oh, fantastic, man. I was just going to say, are you doing the announcement of an announcement thing and keeping me here in the air with saying something without saying anything? But you did say something which I'm really relieved about. That's great. I look forward to, try the snipers. There are a few good tools where you can, find early contracts that, some other people have their eyes on. And so it'll be really, really nice to see how Accept Sniper performs in comparison with other snipers, and also then snipe and approve for MEV. You get a very early position. You secure, like, I don't know, 2-3% supply, and then you can write it out and use the MEV That sounds very, very interesting. It's anyhow a great combination from the very beginning. That was like an an ambition and an aim, but now to see it actually come into tech and into come into fruition and to be able to use it, I'm very excited
Yeah,
about.
me too. And for sure, that's a very big development to roll out and to start testing. And most definitely, this was on for some part the announcement of the announcement. I wish I could share more details, but we have a couple of them that are being finalized, and I'm very excited about each of them. Um, and yeah, for sure. I'm all I can say. Make sure to keep your eyes peeled for next week for an announcement, and be present on the next spaces for that. But there will most definitely be some interesting things be dropped over there.
Awesome, awesome. So we actually have a community member with us. I'm not sure how to pronounce your word. I'm gonna say crazy bum.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, is it crazy bum?
Well, I actually don't know. It's like a really, really old gamer tag I gave myself, so I'm not sure how to pronounce it either.
Okay, okay. I mean, whatever. Welcome, dude. Great to have you. It's wonderful to actually speak with people from the community and get their questions, get their feedback. I really appreciate you coming up and wanting to say something. So the stage is all yours. Please go ahead. Don't advertise any. Um, no,
I
no. I
won't.
was gonna make. I was gonna crack a joke, but
Yeah,
you know,
I would.
last night I was in the spaces, and some person came up from the community, and he spoke and he asked some questions, and then he, by the way, shilled his own stuff. So he advertised his own website and all of that. And he said, "Oh, why don't you guys go and look at this?" I'm sure you were not,
No, I'm not
intending
gonna
to do
do
that.
that.
No, 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 no. But it was very funny. It was very, very funny. It's like, wow, that's a sneaky way of coming into a space. I know this doesn't happen here. So, welcome. A little story. Great to have you. Go right at.
All right. Thanks for bringing me up. So I wrote my question in the chat earlier because I'm no native English speaker, so I'm just gonna read it. Because in math attacks, I think it's crucial that when we attack a buy attack, that the buy and seller transactions are executed within the same block. I think this is like the most important thing, and this means that both the sell and the buy transaction they need to be sent more or less simultaneously. So the question I have is, how does the sell transaction know how many tokens it has to sell when they are more or less like executed at the same time? Or will the sell transaction that is targeting the targeted buy transaction always sell like 100% of the portfolio of the given token?
That's a pretty good question. Thank you for that. And I believe you've asked a very good question earlier today as well. I noticed in the chat, and this is a great question. And let me start off with the easy answer would be because we have a very good development team here. That's has created this entire system and the trading bot. But to go more in depth here, let's explain how, for everybody that's listening, how these liquidity pools work. And the easiest explanation or the easiest version is the liquidity pool for Uniswap V2. Uniswap V2 uses a balanced liquidity pool where pool A, which would be the token, for instance, and pool B, which would be Ethereum, are always like 50-50 balanced in value. So the calculation for that would be pool A times pool B equals a constant. And if you add Ethereum to pool B, then you get tokens out from pool A, and then it's still balanced as the constant. That's basically, in short, how the math works right there. So we have the entire blockchain data. We run our own node infrastructure, and we have all the data from the blockchain and also the balances of the liquidity pools. So what happens is we spot an opportunity, and we know the balances of these liquidity pools, and we can calculate exactly what amount of tokens we would get out as balance if we send X amount of ETH in. Now, the same applies for when you sell. If we say, okay, these are the balances in the liquidity pool. I send a buy transaction at the front run for X amount of ETH. I get these amount of tokens. Then automatically you would have the amount of tokens already calculated, because this is all on the local blockchain here, and you would be able to send the same amount of tokens back into the liquidity pool as the second transaction as the sell, for instance. That way we know the amount of tokens that we need to sell in the second transaction. Now, it is very important. You're very right that you need to have these first buy transaction and the second the sell transaction to have them in the same block. And you can't do this if you send these transactions one after another. So you send these at the same time in a bundle to the block builders. So that's how these opportunities are caught. You send a bundle of transactions and send them to the block builders with both the data already pre-calculated. So these are put into order in the block by the block builder, basically as a front run and back run transaction. I hope that answers your questions, and if you have any follow-up, please feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. It answers the main question that I had, and I think I really understand it. And I also have a follow-up question, because we to prioritize our buy transaction, when we target a buy transaction, we use, for example, a higher gas, or we'll make it more attractive for the miner. How do we make sure that the sell transaction is after the targeted buy transaction? Do we use a little less gas than the targeted buy transaction, or how can we make sure it really happens after the targeted buy transaction and not before it?
To put it simply, because we send a bundle of these transactions, the sell transaction can't take place if the first one hasn't been completed. So, for instance, if we don't have balance of this token, and we send both of the transaction, the builder will also know. I'm simplifying this right here. So the builder.
I think you misunderstood a little bit. I'm talking about how can we make sure that our sell transaction happens after the targeted buy transaction that, I don't know, user X is doing, like the opportunity we spotted. Like, we need to make sure that our sell transaction happens after the targeted buy transaction, I don't know, by Mr. Blake from England. He's like buying 5 ETH worth of Doge, and we want to make sure we buy our 3 ETH of Doge before him and sell our 3 ETH of Doge, or that is maybe then worth 3.2 ETH right after him. So how can we make sure that this sell transaction really happens after his buy transaction?
We send our transactions with the expected amount that we want in return. It's like you can compare it with a slippage settings. So, for example, if you set slippage, you would say, okay, I sell these amount of tokens, and this is the expected return that I want to get. So if we would for instance, do a buy transaction. Let's say we buy 1 Ethereum and we want to get 1,000 expected 1,000 tokens in return. In the background transaction, we mentioned we sell 1,000 tokens and we expect 1.05 ETH in return. Now, if these parameters are not met, for instance, the block builder can't complete include these transactions because it doesn't meet the threshold that we expect right there. So they won't be included.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your questions.
Okay, that was wonderful. I love to see this. This is really, really good. We should do this more often. People from the community coming up, asking really intelligent questions. That was a great question, by the way. Um, I'm gonna say crazy bum again because I don't know how else to say it. Yeah, great to have you. If anybody else would like to ask questions in future spaces, please just drop them in the Telegram community. One of the mods will make sure that you will be unmuted during spaces, and then you can ask them right in spaces, and SirPT can give one of his expert answers that he always gives, which are always very enlightening. So yeah, I think that's it. We've covered a lot of ground today. That was 35 minutes, packed with alpha, packed with emotions and information. And I look forward to what's going to happen next week. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mevit, baby.